This discussion is on ventricular tachycardia of epicardial origin. Most ventricular tachycardias can be approached for catheter ablation endocardially, but there are few which needs an epicardial approach. VTs originating from the left ventricular outflow tract is likely to be epicardial and perivascular compared to the right ventricular outflow tract VTs. VTs in non-ischemic dilated cardiomyopathy and those in Chagastic cardiomyopathy are likely to have epicardial origin. Among the ischemic VTs, those in the infralateral region can have an epicardial origin. Sometimes VTs in arrhythmogenic right ventricular dysplasia can also be epicardial. When a previous attempt at endocardial ablation has failed, it is all the more reason to look for an epicardial focus. Other reasons for trying an epicardial approach are difficulty in accessing the left ventricular cavity as in the presence of thrombus or prosthetic valve. But epicardial route will not be useful for VTs which involve the subendocardium and Purkinje system as in fascicular VT, bundle branch reentrant VT or VT originating from the papillary muscle. An epicardial VT can be recognized by the slurred initial part of the QRS complex which resembles a delta wave. This occurs because of the slow transmural activation from the epicardial focus to the endocardial surface. Conventionally, mapping and ablation of ventricular tachycardia is done from the endocardial aspect with ablation catheters within the heart. Sometimes the focus is subepicardially situated and needs epicardial ablation either through the coronary sinus or from the true epicardial aspect. Earlier approach to epicardial ablation was perioperative mapping and ablation using a thoracotomy. In 1996, Sosa and colleagues described percutaneous technique for pericardial puncture from the subxiphoid route and epicardial mapping. It can be done either under local anesthesia or general anesthesia. Initial attempts were to target subepicardial ventricular tachycardia circuits in Chagas disease. Later, the same group used the epicardial approach to treat ventricular tachycardia occurring late after myocardial infarction. The percutaneous pericardial puncture needle was same as that is being used for epidural anesthesia. It is introduced at an angle of 45 degrees towards the left scapula from the subxiphoid region under local anesthesia. It is gently advanced, guided by fluoroscopy till it is close to the cardiac silhouette when a slight negative pressure is felt. Most often the region chosen is the medial third of the right ventricle, noted on coronary angiography to be free of major vessels. Electrode catheters placed at the right ventricular apex and in the coronary sinus also serve as reference points while puncturing the pericardium. 2 ml of iodinated contrast is injected to confirm the intrapericardial position of the needle tip. If in the correct plane, the contrast collects around the cardiac silhouette. If outside, it collects in the mediastinum. Once the position is confirmed, a floppy tipped guide wire is introduced into the pericardial space. The wire should easily slip into the pericardial space without any resistance if it is in the right plane. Guide wire position is checked by fluoroscopy and an 8F introducer sheath is threaded over it. After this, a 4 mm tipped ablation catheter is introduced and mapping done from various regions of interest depending on the clinical ventricular tachycardia. Epicardial approach has a higher risk of complications and hence is often considered only after an endocardial approach fails. Sometimes it is the first line approach when the ECG pattern or the underlying heart disease like dilated cardiomyopathy makes the possibility of epicardial circuits high. An intracardiac thrombus or prosthetic mechanical valves in aortic or mitral position may also mandate a primary epicardial approach. Mapping and ablation of ventricular tachycardia by the epicardial approach is considered in the following situations. 1. VT in structural heart diseases with a propensity for epicardial substrate like Chagas disease and arrhythmogenic right ventricular cardiomyopathy. 2. Hyperenhancement seen in the epicardial region on contrast enhanced cardiac magnetic resonance imaging. 3. Endocardial mapping fails to identify an endocardial scar. 4. Electrocardiographic features of clinical or induced VT indicating an epicardial focus. 5. Failed attempts at ablation by endocardial approach are important indications for epicardial mapping. Here are the first set of references on epicardial VT. Here is the second set of references. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel for future updates and click on the bell icon for all updates. Thank you.